Welcome to @Cronkite News, your social sharing connection where you choose the news. Facebook likes and shares, tweets, retweets, and favorites. YouTube views and subscriptions. We're watching you watch us. From our digital home at cronkitenews.azpbs.org to your television, web browser, or mobile device. Let's get a refresh on the top Arizona news of the week.
A historic afternoon in the nation's capital as Arizona Senator Jeff Flake says enough. The longtime Arizona politician delivered a speech to say he will not run for re-election next year, saying he could no longer be complicit with President Donald Trump and the Republican Party.
I've decided that I would be better able to represent the people of Arizona and to better serve my country and my conscience by freeing myself of the political consideration that consume far too much bandwidth and would cause me to compromise far too many principles. To that end, I am announcing today that my service in the Senate will conclude at the end of my term in early January 2019. I am aware that there is a segment of my party that believes that anything short of complete and unquestioning loyalty to a president who belongs to my party is unacceptable and suspect. Now it seems that we, the architects of this visionary, rules-based world order that has brought so much freedom and prosperity, are the ones most eager to abandon it. The notion that one should stay silent as the norms and values that keep America strong are undermined, and as the alliances and agreements that ensure the stability of the entire world are routinely threatened by the level of thought that goes into 140 characters. The notion that we should say or do nothing in the face of such mercurial behavior is ahistoric, and I believe profoundly misguided. The personal attacks, the threats against principles, freedoms and institution, the flagrant disregard for truth and decency, the reckless provocations, most often for the pettiest and most personal reasons having nothing whatsoever to do with the fortunes of the people that we have been elected to serve. None of these appalling features of our current politics should ever be regarded as normal. It is time for our complicity and our accommodation of the unacceptable to end.
Arizona Senator John McCain, who's living with brain cancer, has been publicly sparring with the president over his leadership as well. Moments after Senator Flake's speech today, McCain took to the floor to commend Flake's service.
I have seen Jeff Flake stand up for what he believes in, knowing full well that there would be a political price to pay. So as we look, all of us, at some point at our time that we have spent here, whether it be short or whether it be long, we look back and we think about what we could have done, what we should have done, what we might have done, and the mistakes we made and the things we're proud of. Well, when the Flake service to this country and this Senate is reviewed, it will be one of honor, of brilliance, and patriotism and love of country.
Flake's announcement sent shockwaves through the Capitol. About an hour after his speech, White House spokeswoman Sarah Sanders called Flake's decision, quote, probably a good move, but so far no statement from President Trump himself. Now for the latest from the Capitol, let's go live to Cronkite News reporter Trevor Fay, who's at our Washington bureau.
We caught up with Senator Flake today after his floor speech, and he says that even though he's not running for re-election, there is still much work that he needs to do on the Capitol before he's done. This includes getting Congress to weigh in on military conflicts around the globe and finding a way to protect DACA recipients. Flake says that even though he has had some antagonism with President Trump, he still believes that the president wants to protect those kids under DACA, and he's committed to finding a way to work with the president on that. But he says that otherwise the current political climate has discouraged him from running.
If I could run the kind of race I'd like to run and believe I could win a Republican primary, I might go forward.
When asked if he had done all that he needs to do in the Senate, Flake said, "You're never done." But he said that he's still in office for another 15 months and he plans to work right up until the end. Live in Washington, Trevor Fay, Cronkite News.
Park Central Mall, Phoenix's first large-scale shopping mall, is on the verge of a transformation. Holly Buck finds out what the future could look like for this space.
I think it's going to turn into the hip, cool new place to hang out.
2 real estate companies, Plaza Companies and Holualoa Companies, recently bought 337,000 square feet of Park Central Mall in hopes of reviving the area near Central and Osborne.
Park Central will once again be the glorious hub it once was.
The mall originally started on 46 acres of land and opened in 1957 in Uptown Phoenix. It housed major department stores such as Goldwater's and Diamonds. As those stores closed, the mall became more of a business center, but those large trees and shady areas we remember will remain.
We will be creating a number of indoor-outdoor spaces where people can gather, where they can connect, where they can meet to talk about business opportunities, to enjoy the environment.
The 2 real estate companies will be renovating this area you see right behind me to turn it into a more creative and versatile environment for visitors, workers, and their employers. The plans preserve the mid-century modern architecture and open space with the high ceilings and a variety of exposed roof structures, retail shopping, and restaurants.
By next summer, it'll be, shaded outdoor landing space with cool restaurants. So I think we'll see the first tenants move in certainly within the next 6 to 8 months. Into the space.
Harper says they're still working on filling the spaces with tenants. In Phoenix, Holly Bach, Cronkite News.
Construction for Park Central will start this December, and it's set to be finished next fall.
The Arizona Humane Society has been overwhelmed by kittens in need. Their ICU has a capacity for 60 kittens at a time, but currently is caring for about 80. From the time newborn kittens arrive until they qualify for adoption, it costs the Humane Society over $1,100 per kitten. Their website says it costs $200,000 a year for staffing, medical, and food supplies. And because kittens need so much care, the kidnapping campaign has been started, urging people to avoid taking litters of kittens from where they're found, just in case the mother cat has just stepped away.
Victims of human trafficking, foster kids that have aged out of the system, and the homeless. These are groups that can feel marginalized.
But as Cronkite News reporter Kevin Gessner shows us, one Valley Center dedicated to helping these groups just got a big boost.
The Phoenix Suns Charities donated $100,000 to create a learning center at the Phoenix Dream Center to help survivors of human trafficking find a path to college. Since the birth of the Human Trafficking Program, the Phoenix Dream Center has catered to the lives of about 500 women. Brian Steele, executive director and CEO, says once the medical care and counseling were addressed, there was a missing piece of the puzzle to get them to the next step of their lives.
Our desire is that they would be strong, independent young women out there in the community just doing amazing things for their life, and that they really truly could move on. And so therein entered really our heart for education.
Once the education program was created, Arizona State University and Grand Canyon University offered scholarships. But after the first year, the Dream Center noticed the women were having a hard time adapting. Steele says many of the women in the program hadn't even completed 10th grade, so they needed something to help the women go from a GED program to college, and that's where the Phoenix Suns stepped in.
This Phoenix Suns Learning Center that we've opened is geared at really helping the young women transition from our program, from here, into to full-on college.
Sarah Crahan-Buell is the executive director of the Phoenix Suns Charities and says the Phoenix Suns as a whole is not afraid to dive into sensitive topics like human trafficking and making a change.
Our owner is very adamant about doing what's right and making a strong impact on kids in our community. They are our most treasured assets, and if we don't help them, who is going to?
The women attend high school online, and in the evenings, interns from GCU come to help them prepare for college. Kevin Gessner, Cronkite News.
It's an often overlooked part for the fight for immigration, immigrants who are under temporary protected status. But today, outside the White House, a rally urged the administration to renew protections for countries whose agreements are soon to expire. Reporter Fraser Allen Best was there with the latest.
Yesenia Echeverria fears being sent home to her native El Salvador under the Trump administration, but not because of an end to DACA. She joined scores in a rally outside the White House calling for action on TPS, or temporary protected status.
We don't want to go back to our countries. We don't have a security there, and we feel part of this great nation in here.
TPS grants work status to those who cannot return to their home country because of war or natural disaster. Under TPS, people like Chavarria from Arizona are exempted from deportation. Right now, the program applies to 10 countries, including Haiti and Syria, each needing separate renewal over the next year. While the White House has no official statement, many fear the implications of what they see as anti-immigrant sentiment. Protesters stress that ending the program and deporting those it covers would mean separating families. Emmanuel Mervelis is with the American Friends Service Committee, a human rights group.
This is what it's all about, dividing the family. How can you have a family if a family is divided?
Many at the protest push for an 18-month extension on the January expiration for Haiti's TPS agreement to negotiate a long-term solution. Protesters feel DACA, which protects the children of undocumented immigrants, often dominates the conversation on immigration reform. But as a mother, Chavarria says the issues aren't altogether separate.
Our kids, they are DACA too. We came first and they are our DACAs now.
In Washington, Fraser Allen Best, Cronkite News.
The TPS agreement for Chavarria's home country of El Salvador is up for expiration in March of 2018.
Valley teachers protested their pay Monday with peanuts. They delivered bags to the governor's office. Cronkite News reporter Steven Sidner went to the Capitol to crack open the problem the teachers are facing.
We have over 1,000 classrooms in the state that don't have any qualified teacher in them, and we have had over 500 teachers already quit this year.
Joe Thomas, president of the Arizona Education Association, says teachers deserve the 10, 15, and 20% raises given to Governor Doug Ducey's staff.
It's outrageous. It's demeaning, and it shows a lack of leadership and decisiveness on the part of the governor. We demand that the governor match those raises with our teachers right now.
Thomas believes that Arizona teachers deserve a 20% raise.
We believe that teachers across the state would stay, commit to our school districts, commit to our students, and even more so, we would recruit new teachers to the schools and make sure that they would feel safe and want to be able to be part of our state and stay longer.
AEA Vice President Marisol Garcia also suggests the state should look at creative ways to fund the raise, possibly through corporate taxes. Parents like Melinda Ayers are concerned low pay is driving good teachers out of the state and the profession.
Last year, one of them left the profession entirely because she realized she could make more money waiting tables.
In a statement to Cronkite News, Patrick Patak, Governor Doug Ducey's senior press secretary, said, in most cases, raises were given through promotion with expanded roles and responsibilities using existing dollars. Patak additionally said that new dollars are going to education, including $68 million for a permanent pay raise for teachers. Meanwhile, Garcia is begging parents to stand with them.
I want you to join us and demand that we're treated with the respect that we deserve.
In Phoenix, Steven Sidner, Cronkite News.
Ducey's office also says that the governor's office has not increased its budget since 2008.
The Phoenix Police Department is looking to hire 400 new officers this year. Cronkite News reporter Bridget Dowd tells us how the department is trying to diversify its employees.
All units of the Phoenix Police Department were represented at a career fair on Friday, ranging from violent crimes to canine.
We find bad guys and we find drugs.
Lisa Fisher and her dog Jax are a part of that unit. Fisher says she thinks it's important for all types of people to be well represented in law enforcement.
I would encourage anybody who's interested in this, regardless of their gender or ethnicity, to be interested in this. Certainly, the population is comprised of many different groups of people, and it's important that everybody feels that if they want to do this, that they can do it, and certainly that's been my experience.
Interested applicants even had the opportunity to take the written exam to become an officer on Friday. After passing the written portion, applicants are required to complete a physical agility test. Valley resident Kimberly Mendez says at first she wanted to work in forensics, but now thinks she's ready to work in the field.
I looked into their website to see what the requirements were, so I got the running and the sit-ups. I'm still working on the push-up part, but I think I would be able to do it.
Phoenix PD pulled out all the stops today to give applicants an idea of what it would be like to have a career in law enforcement, including landing this A-Star helicopter right outside the Phoenix Convention Center.
The helicopter wasn't the only police vehicle on site. Officers also showed off a 1950s Ford, one of their first police cars, and an RV they used for handling crimes against children. In Phoenix, Bridget Dowd, Cronkite News.
In addition to officer positions, Phoenix PD is opening up 80 communications positions. That includes 911 operators and dispatch workers. For more information about these and other law enforcement careers, visit cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
The music is over, thousands of fans have cleared out, and now we wait to see if the Lost Lake Festival was a financial success for Phoenix as promised. Reporter Alex Valdez is tracking the latest in the media center. Alex?
I went to the park to check out today's cleanup efforts. After the festival wrapped up last night, I also got the chance to speak with the neighbors about this big ticket event playing out in their own backyard. It was a weekend full of music, art, food, and games in Central Phoenix after the first edition of the Lost Lake Festival took over Still Indian School Park. The festival bringing over 50 musical acts during the 3-day event, but by Monday, the music had given way to the sounds of cleanup crews, getting the park back to normal.
I would never know that there, I mean, obviously you can see like little signs, but I would never know there was such a giant festival here over the weekend. So it's pretty cool. I think they're doing a good job.
The Lost Lake Festival brought thousands of fans to Central Phoenix over the weekend, but today crews are focused on the cleanup efforts while organizers start looking at the economic impact the festival brought to the city. Superfly, the company behind the festival, says they'll release official attendance numbers later this week. Phoenix resident Louder says she believes events like Lost Lake are a good thing for the city.
Beneficial for everybody, just because I know it's like stimulating the economy and like having people from out of town come in. So I don't think it's been any negative. There haven't been any negative effects.
Still Indian School Park is expected to reopen to the public this Thursday, but for now, pet owners can bring their furry friends to the temporary dog park that is open. In the media center, Alex Valdez, Cronkite News.
The Crane School District has partnered with Apple on a $20 million project grant to help enhance students' learning. Marcia Pong is in the broadcast center with more on how the school is implementing the grant.
iPad Air 2s for each of the students, Apple TVs for each classroom, and 3 years of Apple Care Plus for all of the devices are just some of the features 9 schools in the Crane School District received through the Apple Connect Ed project.
It's just easy because you get to learn it on the iPad.
Ava Wagers is a 3rd grader at H.L. Silvercrest Elementary School, and her tablet is her textbook.
I like it. It's fun and you get to learn stuff.
The Apple Connect Ed project grant is designed to provide schools with the best technology for students to help them learn individually.
It's really about transforming education. When I grew up, there weren't devices, there weren't electronics, there wasn't even the World Wide Web. We didn't have the internet. And that's what these devices allow us to do.
Apple's up.
Teacher Brianna Spangler has been using iPads in the classroom for the past 3 years. She hopes that Apple will continue to uphold the grant.
We're really trying to show Apple everything that we've been doing, what the students have been creating, how it's taking their learning further. So we're trying to demonstrate everything that we can in order to continue to have it because it's making such a difference in these kids' lives. Try to get the highest score you can on those 3s.
She says the project is already making a difference in the students' creativity level and the way they think.
It was a resounding yes from the children that it made such a difference in how they learned, but they gave great examples of what these devices were able to do to help them learn. So we know as educators that it's from the mouth of children.
Not a lot of these kids know what a submarine is, but with the iPads, we can quickly look it up, research it, know what it does, know what it looks like.
To help them with their high-tech lesson plans, Apple also gave the teachers MacBook Air laptops.
2 and 1.
This is the 3rd and final year of the project. Once the grant ends in May, the school district will be able to keep the devices, but will have to repair and replace the devices on their own. In the broadcast center, Marcia Opong, Cronkite News.
This is one bartender you don't have to tip. Cronkite News reporter Tim Johns was in Scottsdale to see how automation is affecting the restaurant and bartending business.
This is Sorso Wine Room in Scottsdale Quarter, and this is its automated wine dispenser.
Sorso's co-owner Mark Tian says he was on vacation with his wife in Italy after retiring from professional baseball when he first came across this type of technology.
Didn't have much experience with Italian wine, so we really enjoyed our experience of going through and tasting a bunch of different varietals. So ultimately, when we decided to go down the path of opening a wine bar, this idea was kind of the center of that.
And it's not just Sorso. Automated alcohol dispensers are popping up all over the valley and across the country. Market Watch says that bartending could be the next job to become automated.
Many establishments cite things such as time, money, and efficiency as some of the reasons why they're choosing to go automated.
It's quicker for consumers, but will consumers miss that interaction with their friendly neighborhood barkeep? Joey Mills-Villegas, the general manager at Sorso, says they're still keeping that personal connection.
I think people do go out for conversation and human interaction. I think people could just cook at home if they wanted to avoid it that much.
Since right now the automated machines only dispense wine and beer, not being able to provide mixed drinks are often mentioned as one of the drawbacks of automated bartenders. But being able to get yourself a glass of cheap Chardonnay without the bartender looking down his nose at you could be priceless. In Scottsdale, Tim Johns, Cronkite News.
Sorso's automated wine dispenser has 32 wines from around the world for customers to choose from.
Finally tonight, the Phoenix Suns could use a little motivation after suffering the worst loss in franchise history last night to open the season. Meanwhile, the man behind the mask of the original Suns gorilla is on a different motivational mission. Reporter Sky Merida explains.
Henry Rojas went from making a living where he rarely said a word to now being an inspirational speaker. Rojas, the original gorilla for the Phoenix Suns, transitioned from being an NBA mascot to becoming the chaplain of the Calvary Addiction Recovery Center in Phoenix, in a move that would seem unpredictable to many. But Rojas' journey to becoming the mascot was anything but predictable.
I was doing a part-time job with a company called Eastern Onion Singing Telegram Service, and somebody ordered a telegram and paid extra for the person to wear a gorilla suit, and I reluctantly went, hoping I could get it over with and then take the suit off and watch the rest of the game, but I was already visible. They started playing music and started dancing, and that was the first time out there. Crowd just loved the dancing.
As the gorilla, Rojas brought cheer to NBA fans across the globe. Now as a speaker, Rojas talks to addicts, high school students, and others in need. And former Suns ball boy Ronnie Williams believes that it's the man beneath the mask that's truly changed people's lives for the better.
When you can sit and listen to Henry Rojas talk about the blessings and the gift and the different things that he's going to share, man, it's mind-blowing.
Rojas is currently working on a book called Belong, Believe, and Behave, emphasizing his belief that we all belong. Okay. In Tempe, Sky Merida, Cronkite News.
I'm Judy Woodruff, anchor and managing editor of the PBS NewsHour. The journalists of tomorrow face a fast-changing media landscape, but quality news remains vitally important to our communities, our country, and our world. At ASU's Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication, students learn solid, reliable reporting, holding the powerful accountable, and rebuilding the public's trust. The Cronkite School and Arizona PBS, preparing the next generation for a stronger future of journalism.
Hello from the children of planet Earth.
Exploring, it's the lifeblood of the mission.
Human beings are a curious bunch.
What are we going to see when we get really close?
Just because an idea is crazy, it's not necessarily wrong.
We were on our way.
You don't get anywhere until you've tested the limits.
That carries an intensity you can't imagine.
You could hear people just, whoa.
Oh my God, absolutely spectacular.
It's a rush. We ask a lot of our heroes.
We are at a remarkable moment.
We're going farther than any exploration ever has.
Now, here's an @Cronkite News pick of the week, a favorite from the Cronkite News staff.
Women are helping women prepare for one physically demanding career, firefighting. Reporter Sydney Eisenberg takes us to the training center to show us what they go through.
The Valley Women's Firefighter Society is trying to encourage women to become firefighters by giving them the skills needed before they're hired by a department.
You can go to the gym and you can work out and you can be physically fit, but as soon as you put on a pair of turnouts and you start working with various tools that firefighters work with, it's a whole nother ball game.
At the Phoenix Fire Training Academy, the group tackles each task that firefighters handle on a daily basis, from simulating breaking into an attic to put out a fire, to pulling fire hoses up 2 stories.
Don't let go of that left hand. Not only do we work on physical skills, we also work on talking about what the fire department's like, what the station life is like, what we're going to be expecting of you in the academy, on probation, throughout your career, and what's going to make you successful.
According to the National Fire Protection Association, between 2011 and 2015, only 4.6% of firefighters were women. While these classes are open to men, Graziano says they're especially helpful for the women who attend.
This is just sort of a tool that helps, more women come on the job and let them know that, hey, this is out here. We want you guys. We want great, strong, willing, positive women to be on this job and be role models for, younger girls and that generation coming up.
In Phoenix, Sydney Eisenberg, Cronkite News.
The Valley Women's Firefighter Society offers these classes 3 times a month.
Cronkite News tracks your likes, tweets, and shares from all our social sites to bring you this special @Cronkite News, our weekly refresh. Join the conversation so you choose the news. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, subscribe to us on YouTube, and log on to cronkitenews.azpbs.org for top Arizona stories anytime.